Hello there. Thank you for tuning in to see my multimedia presentation. My name is Kevin, and I just got back from 2 action-packed back-to-back adventures. To give you some background, here is what you need to know about me. I am a sentient assistant cursor created by Hovercore, and specifically designed to assist people in need. I have been gifted by my creators with many unique powers, such as copy-pasting important information and materials, hiding secrets deep within folders, summoning files on the fly through drop-down menus, lifting heavy objects with ease, changing my form and my text-to-speech voice, though I am forbidden from using AI-generated forms and AI voices of famous people and fictional characters. All of this and more, all to assist users in need. That was also some of what I did for the past few days. There is this game called Clicksboro. It's a highly modifiable point-and-click online multiplayer role-playing game, where you play as part of one of numerous different kingdoms. Some of the more talented and passionate members of the game's modding community even managed to find a way to integrate me into the game. After finding out about my existence, 3 noble players from that game came to me all with one request: to help save their princesses. All 3 princesses have been kidnapped and falsely imprisoned in a tall tower guarded by a dragon who planned on harnessing their talents and powers for its own personal gain. Being one to help out the innocent, I made it my mission to free the princesses from the clutches of the dragons. I also made sure to friend request the 3 of them in case we end up getting separated and needed each other. It was a long expedition with a lot of side quests, trickery and farming for experience points, but it was all worth it in the grand scheme of things. When we finally made it to the front door of the dragon's tower, we were shoved in. We could not leave through that door, but we were not worried. We were powerful enough forces to defeat the dragon and/or make it come to its senses, if need be. Although there were a few bumps in the road to the finish line, they were nothing our collective powers and abilities couldn't handle. Looking back, there were quite a few traps that the tower had. It makes me wonder who actually built it in the first place. Anyway, when we finally made it to the top, not only were we greeted by the 3 princesses we were after the whole time, but also the dragon harnessing their powers. We first tried negotiating with the dragon to set them all free, but to no avail. Long story short, after a long fight with the dragon, we made it lose its balance and fall to the ground with its wings unable to be used to fly back up for another round. Last I saw of it, it had one of Sir Sing-a-Lot's musical instruments lethally lodged in its torso and piercing through the heart. Once I confirmed to the knights and the princesses that the dragon was indeed dead, I helped them safely make their way to the bottom of the tower. Once at the first floor, we used our collective powers to bust through the door. After that, we headed to each of the 3 kingdoms the princesses belonged to and dutifully informed the king and queen that their princesses are safe and sound, thanks to me and my friends. It was the satisfying end of an unexpectedly thrilling adventure. Unfortunately, it was also the precursor to a more serious adventure that happened mere moments after I got back to my home desktop. An external force managed to get inside my computer during my adventure, claiming they were an employee at Hovercore. I originally didn't believe him at first. The cursor he brought with him looked like an off-brand version of me. However, he presented more than enough evidence to convince me he really was an employee. After some stressful negotiation and investigation, I learned that he was actually a hardcore Hovercore hater who hated me. So much, so that he was convinced that wiping me off the face of the tech industry for good and being upfront about it was the best way to get everyone on the internet to stop talking about me. I tried talking him out of hacking me out of existence, but he didn't want to listen to it. He was too hateful towards me to want to. I tried using a couple of video chat softwares to get the rest of Hovercore's attention, but he was quick to keep me from doing that. I faked like I was cornered and hopeless, partially because I actually felt like I actually was. However, I had a plan. I figured he would disable the shutdown button if I went for it, so I stayed as still as possible for a long enough period of time, thinking the hacker would get so impatient, bored, and/or tired that he'd walk away from his face cam. It took me an uncomfortably long time, but that plan did eventually work. I then muted the operating system in a way that would not alert the hacker, then quickly got back into Clicksboro. I tried contacting the 3 players I friend requested through the game, with success on all 3 parts. I then quickly explained what was happening on my end, and used some of my powers to convince them to get into contact with Hovercore. After a few minutes of eagerly and nervously awaiting a response from one of them, the hacker came back. He was like, "You thought you could get away with getting friends to help you get me out of your life, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah. I thought it was a surefire enough plan. Also, how did you know I had friends?" He then revealed to me that the calls to Hovercore I had my 3 Clicksboro friends make were forcefully directed to the hacker. When he found out the calls traced back to me, he knew he could sabotage the calls and blackmail me with them. However, he made one mistake. He proved that I was able to bypass his hacks through Clicksboro. With this newfound information, I made an effort to get as many Clicksboro players to contact Hovercore about the hacker. To make a long story short, the plan worked. The hacker was fired and promptly arrested, and my efforts made headlines. And the news. And the media. There were a couple of drama videos about the hacker, but I didn't care about those as much. All I truly cared about was that I saved both myself, and possibly a lot of other potential victims from this hacker. With all of that being said, thank you for watching my slideshow presentation. I hope it was entertaining enough to leave a review or a comment worth saying. See you next time.